Welcome to the Garden of Eden. It's July 25th, 2026, 9:55 a.m. And this is a part of my garden, the outdoor section, where I have the berry section. In fact, before I go into what I'm growing, let me introduce you to the whole concept of what I'm doing. I'm basically growing food inside of my apartment, although this is the part of my apartment, this is the part of my outdoor garden that I'm just experimenting with temporarily, even though it's not a permanent feature of my garden. But it features my berries section. Now, my berries, hopefully that does, in fact, let me change it back. Now, these berries are strawberries that I got from the store, and these are actually berries that I'm trying to regrow from produce stands that I bought. But anyway, these are ever-bearing strawberries that have been actually doing quite well. I originally got 4. Only 2 survived. I try to grow them indoors, but they're growing much better outdoors now. And then you have these, which are a variety. I don't think there's anything really going on in here, although it's a good idea for me to check on it. I haven't done that this much. But it's raspberry, blackberry, and strawberries planted 2 different ways. Although I also have raspberry in here too. I use plastic bags and containers underneath the growing containers, so that way well, the part of this garden is about taking the disadvantages that led me to starting this garden, being sick and broke, and well, ignorant about gardening and not knowing you can grow food indoors, into advantages. And one of them is using Tupperware and plastic to start seedlings, because not only does it help when it comes to not having to water it every single day, it especially helps when I'm feeling sick and I'm not feeling up to watering, or when I water too much. Instead of trying to be perfect, I find ways of getting around that, although I definitely want to double down on that again this year, especially as I take better notes, so that way I can not make the same mistake too many times and maybe move on to making different mistakes. But anyway, this is where I'm trying to grow seed potatoes. I grew them successfully the first time, 1 seed in every cup of the True Clancy seed potatoes. Actually, I probably have the bag here somewhere. Well, I'm not gonna dig for those, but anyway, the point is that I'm trying to start seed potatoes in 2 ways, with seeds, True Clancy seed potatoes, and starting seeds with regular potatoes that I got from the store. I tend to like to experiment a lot in the garden and do everything from growing from seed to regrowing stuff that I got from the store. That's like the general gist. I've even had sections of my garden devoted just to stuff that I was regrowing from the store. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find the seeds single-handedly, because I have my seeds to the side. But there's a lot. But anyway, let me move on. And this is, goodness knows what this is. Oh, cucumbers. Things haven't been germinating, but it's clear that that's extra wet. The fact is that this has been a week from hell, so the fact that I have stuff that's still moist, it's a win. It's definitely gonna have to be emptied out, but I wanted to hurry up and do this video while I was inspired to do it, before I started thinking about all the stuff that I have to do, like, well, resetting my garden after it had its own drought. But anyway, this is, I guess you could say, my pepper section, with my sriracha that I really shouldn't have gotten, but I couldn't help myself. And the stevia that I really shouldn't have gotten, couldn't help myself, and it would be fine if it hadn't tipped over on the side. Now, with this stevia, it may be done for, it may not be. The irony is that while I've killed off a lot of mint, despite people saying you can't kill off mint, I found that when it comes to other things, rosemary, what else? seeds germinating weeks, maybe even months after I've given up on them, that things just want to grow, except for the things that's supposed to be easy for me to grow, but for some reason it's impossible for me to grow. But anyway, so I'm gonna see what happens with that. Plus, what I may do is see if adding aspirin helps, because that is something that has helped a lot, especially with my first plant that started getting white spots, a spinach plant that I bought from the store. I was told to throw it away because it might infect all my other plants, but I didn't have anything except microgreens growing. So I just used the aspirin, hydrogen peroxide, one aspirin, a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in a soda bottle. I can't give you exact measurements, and yeah, I can't give you exact measurements, but the point is that it worked. But anyway, this is a regular green bell pepper. You can see that it's actually growing a flower, which is great because these peppers have been through a lot. In fact, my plants have all been through a lot. If they survive, that just shows that they're champs, which is good because those are the ones you want to save seeds from. And every generation, the seeds get better and better at adapting to your style. And then this, nothing's going to be happening yet with this. But these are my carrots. I keep trying to grow carrots. The potatoes that I've been growing this year haven't been too much trouble, especially seeing as how I'm just learning for the first time and I made a lot of mistakes. But things like carrots, that has been my bane for years. I've gotten to different stages and done different experiments like freezing them, growing them in eggshell cartons, what have you, and worked to various degrees. And even covering it with like a little bit of board, or even just paper, and those things have helped. But I think that if I really want to grow it, I have to put it really in a direct sun, or at least give it a windowsill space. And that there's probably been lots of mistakes that I've made as far as texture and what have you. It hasn't become clear yet. For me, gardening is a lot like playing detective and figuring out what did it. But hopefully I'll get better at it, and I'm determined, especially since the carrots are so pretty. Like, I do grow stuff because I like the taste of it, but I also grow it because it's pretty. So this is the one that I made sure to have the packaging. Ooh, and now of course I find the one with the potatoes. This is the Clancy potatoes that I'm actually trying to grow here. But oh, and like I was saying, they grew one spindle under a grow light, but then when I tried to transplant them into a cup, it went from 3 out of 4 growing after putting one seed in each cup and feeling like extremely lucky that so many germinated, to one more dying. In fact, that one died before it even transferred to the cup. Then I was able to transfer 2 into the cup. One started dying, and so then I transferred 1 into my fabric bag, and then that one died off. I'm thinking because I put it too close to the sun then. So I'm hoping that if I put it in the sun, that will help. And while I'm here, let me take care of this. I don't really want that water because it's green. Yeah, this is a slum building, by the way. That's the hard circumstances that inspired me to garden, and that I'm trying to take advantage of when it comes to making well, this thing that was supposed to be about coping, the gardening I mean, and it actually becoming just part of who I am. I don't like hardships, but I do like when good can come from it and you can like build a bridge. And just being able to find my joy easily, have these as my seed beds when my stuff grows and I'm able to get seeds from it. But anyway, so I'm just gonna take the fact that this is over wet and then put it into a plant that's over dry. And I just put that there so I can make sure to that until I have a chance to transplant that it's cool. I mean, as far as my sriracha plants go. and then transferring them into soda bottles that does quite well. I've even grown tomatoes in that, but I'll show that in another video. As far as my tomatoes growing up, well, my one tomato this year growing upside down from my windowsill. In fact, show it right there. It is a little bit droopy too, of course, because like I said, of the self-imposed drought. And then these are my other potatoes. This is the first generation potatoes. I made so many mistakes with that. I think the mistakes was putting it too far from the window, watering it overhead, which had the stems fall, and then since I've had bad luck fertilizing my root vegetables, I didn't do so. Take in mind when I say fertilize, I mean with compost. See, hold on. I'm trying to cover the worst of the mess. But from that standpoint, I mean composting, and I don't have editing or any of that stuff. Just a second. That's my kitty cat. But I didn't know that you were supposed to add that in. But the thing is I'm surprised that anything is surviving based off of all of that. And so it's just an experiment to see what happens. Maybe plant some beans in it afterwards. And then I also have some Swiss chard. Wow, I have a lot of time left. I'm trying to get this video done in less than 21 minutes, which is why I originally thought I was going to do just outside. And the reason why is, for some reason, that's all I'm allowed to upload is 21-minute long videos. And even though this is the first garden video I'm posting, it's not the first garden video I've recorded on my phone or uploaded to YouTube as my online journal, or tried to. But anyway, you could see that this is a green pepper that's done quite well from being outside, and now is doing well from being close to the window. I found that if I start things outside and let them get leafy, or even just take them outside for a little bit and let them get leafy, or just put them right here, which is prime real estate where I'm at, that it tends to help. But anyway, that's the green bell pepper, just like all the other peppers except for the sriracha. That's Swiss chard. That's purple kale. I'm not even sure the exact variety. I got that from a store. I really wish that I had just started my own. I have plenty of seeds that usually I start from seed to seed, but I do occasionally buy plants. And then this is my sunflower, or my couple of sunflowers. It's a mix of colorful red and orangey type sunflowers. I don't know if I have the seeds. I was thinking about trying to have the seeds and all that other stuff together, like the Swiss chard. That's the seeds that I'm using. And the thing is these seeds were packed for 2023. I have older seeds, and if my seeds hadn't been accidentally thrown out, I'd still have seeds from 2019, in fact, probably 2017, because even though I started in 2019, I was actually collecting seeds for 2 years before I started, sorry, I'm trying to reach for the seeds, before I started gardening, and having an anxiety attack, only to come across somebody else who has the same PTSD as I do, and ask me how do I deal with it, led to me advising them to do things that they enjoy, like gardening, as well as having stuff to do as an outlet, and not have to depend on other people. But that very same day I suggested he garden, or whatever it is he enjoys, I decided that that's the day I need to garden. But anyway, so these are the sunflowers. I am so dying to see them that I even planted extra. That's actually part of what the berry section is for. Well, there's nothing really to show, so let me not do that. But the point is that I'm planting them outside in a public area because I really want to see what they look like full bloom, but they haven't been doing anything for me, so I have to recheck and see what's going on with that. But yeah, I think I pretty much covered this whole section. Oh, and the potatoes are fingerlings, purple, tiny white peewee, round potatoes, golden potatoes, purple potatoes. But yeah. And then here we have my cucumber. my handmade pickling. Oh yeah, I had to market more because I also planted more and I couldn't find my handmade when I was doing it. Let me see if I can find that. Nope. Not a fountain, but that's just squash. Okay. So I don't have that. But what I do have is my beet package. And that's what I'm growing here. Originally in this cucumber, a tomato volunteered there. And then I have these plants that's been volunteering since last year. I've classified them as succulent. They're tiny, they're purple, lots of seeds, tart tasting, especially when I pick them before watering. But they volunteer and I've just started to let them grow. In fact, they're growing up there mostly. They just volunteered all over the place. And they're very tolerant, like even with not being in the greatest sun. Oh wow, I'm showing you a lot of my mess. Even not with being in the greatest sun, they're still fruiting. If you can see those little like dots. So it's way too tolerant, way too productive to not keep growing. And then that's my aloe veras, knocked over and what have you, and my onions, my scallion onions that I bought from the store, put into water and have just neglected. But anyway, this is my acorn squash, as well as the in fact, let me finish telling you the story. So the point is that the tomato plant was growing in here. You had the currant growing in here, and in fact this looks like it may be another one, although it looks slightly different. But the point is I realized that they weren't growing the cucumbers or the tomatoes because of all of that stuff going on. So I probably should prune it because that does seem like an excessive amount to grow. But it's growing in a soda bottle, which is growing in a flower container, which is growing in a fabric bag. That I went from pruning out the tomato and the currant and actually trying to propagate it, although I don't think that would have survived the drought, to me deciding why not put my beets in there and put my pepper in there, my squash in there, and just see what happens. And then since then, I've gotten that volunteer that popped up. And then this is my other squash plant that has grown quite big. Let me see how much I can pan back without capturing too much mess. And then this is the rest of the wilderness. Don't mind my cups from working. I was in the middle of trying to work and clean up the garden and then do the video when I realized to get to hell with that. But this is a cherry tomato and a black creme tomato growing in a fabric bag. They're extras. I meant to go to the library in order to give away plants, but I have yet to make it. And I didn't have the heart to kill it because it was already growing flower buds. So it's in the back and I definitely need to move it. That's part of the garden work. But I wanted to actually fertilize stuff first. And before that, I actually want to water things. But yeah, but I decided to just do the quick watering of like the stevia plant that was an emergency, and to just get this video done of the outside, only to end up doing all these other sections. But anyway, so this is my red beefsteak tomato. Now, do I need all these different tomato plants? No, but I mean, who does? Yeah, who does? You know what I mean? So, and it's an experiment. What I need to do though is move all of these plants to the front and then move this, which has the plants that could actually deal with some shade, and move it back. And maybe even move it in my crosshair section, meaning the section in between my two windows that catches light from this end and that end. Take in mind that I have direct light as far as the sun really shining through. I'd say maybe 4 hours, and it depends on the type of the time of year. But mostly it's in direct light. But that being said, I found myself getting cherry tomatoes, especially from the windowsill, in the middle of January. But yeah, I definitely need to grow these tomato plants closer. And then have another section. Take in mind this is a studio apartment. But this, I have to see what this is. I am so surprised that this is growing. This is my lemon balm. And this is my catnip. Poor baby. There's good reason why it died off. But that's what I mean by being better about my system, because I left it uncovered. Usually I would leave it covered. Although I did start to uncover it because I saw that they were getting leaves. But anyway, the point is that even when you don't do things 100% the correct way, whatever that means, things tend to work out. And when you're working with seeds, you can always replant. So this is peas and beans. Another thing supposedly easy, but I have screwed it up so many ways. Ironically enough, I've had a better time growing these, especially the beans hydroponically, although I have had some good success growing peas. And I gotta say, if you haven't had peas fresh from a garden, you have not eaten peas. They have become my favorite thing. I think I almost like it more than the strawberries. I hate to say it, but whatever. But anyway, that's it because I'm about to reach my limit. But let me just leave off with a shot of my black krill tomato flowers about to bud. That's been like that for like a month. Have a good day.